Ladies and sinners, welcome to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson, back at it again on a Victory Tuesday. On a Victory Tuesday, folks. Yeah, believe it or not, the Raiders actually won a game. I know, I'm just as shocked as you guys are. Little to no excitement. You win a game and you still got your star receiver upset. That's just the way it is in Raiderville right now, right? Right? Am I right? That's just what happens with the Raiders. But hey, it's what we do. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. This is the Sin City Sports Show. You guys can catch us on any of our forums, which is Twitter, primarily Twitter. Sin City underscore IESR, at Cale underscore Henderson is my personal. If you guys want to catch a replay of the show, maybe you can't watch, listen to the whole show. Perfectly fine. Guess what? I love playbacks because this is a podcasting world anyway. You guys can catch us. You guys can catch us on most of our major podcasts. I mean, we got the big ones are Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I mean, those are the big ones I can think of. Apple Pods. We're available, man. Prime Pods or Prime Music. I mean, you guys can get a hold of us anytime, anywhere, and it makes a huge difference for the show. Please consider, going back, favoriting, following, sharing. That's how we can get more listens on the show, for sure. You can listen on the Spreaker app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, Prime. Get a hold of us, man. Listen to our shows. We love you for it. Getting into the content, we're going to kick it off with the Lady Aces. Lady Aces are absolutely killing it. The WNBA, the defending champs, they are 6-0 in this year's playoffs. Absolutely 6-0. Adam Karnick, Taryn Rodriguez joined the show in the chat. Hey, Cale, ready to talk some Golden Knights hockey? Absolutely, because guess what? The puck drops here in minutes. We're minutes from puck drop there in Vegas, where I'm sure they're going to lower the banner, celebrate the hockey team, which they should. I'm actually really excited about this year because, again, they're a team that, if there was a team that could definitely repeat, they have the roster to do it. Taryn Rodriguez chimes in. Good evening, Cale. Have an awesome show. Good to be back, Taryn. Thank you. How about Chris Berman? Voice? Rate us. Yeah, they beat the Packers. I mean, how bad? Listen, I'm going to divert from the Lady Aces real quick to give my favorite team crap. How bad does a team have to be to lose to the Raiders? Seriously, how bad does a team have to be to lose to the Raiders? The Denver Broncos and now the Green Bay Packers have lost to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Josh McDaniels led Las Vegas Raiders. That just stinks, man. If that happens to you this year, folks, just rebuild. Sell away all your best players because you ain't winning. If you lose to the Raiders, you're not winning. You're not winning at all. And what is the NFL about? It isn't about just getting to the playoffs. There's no consolations in the NFL. We want to win games. You want to win the Super Bowl. That's the only thing that matters in the NFL, right? Winning the ship. Getting paid. But if you lose to the Raiders, sell the farm, man. Because you are bad. Las Vegas Lady Aces, again, 6-0 in the playoffs so far. They are masterful so far in defending their title. And I don't know if anybody can beat them. I think they run through this final. I really do. They might drop one game, but I don't believe it. I have to see it to believe it. Right now, the Lady Aces are 6-0. They just beat the New York Liberty 99-82 on Sunday in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. If they win in Game 2 here tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on ESPN, by the way, ESPN app at the Michelob Ultra Arena, you take a commanding lead. Just crazy how well they've played. Aja Wilson's going nuts. Jackie Young going nuts. Kelsey Plume going nuts. Your star 3 players that have been averaging better than 18 points a game all season long are maintaining that. Right now, Aja Wilson's averaging more than 22 points a game. Nearly 28 in the playoffs. Like, she's just risen to the occasion. I wonder if some of that had to do with that almost week and a half, 2 weeks of rest when they rested all those starters and actually started losing games in the regular season. Because remember, the Lady Aces, who are on a hot streak, right? Won the title last year, are basically undefeated in this year's playoffs. They went 34-6 in the regular season, and they sat their starters basically for the last 2 weeks of the season. They had a playoff spot clinched with like a month and a half left to go in the season. WNBA season. That's kind of incredible. That's how dominant they've been. And they beat their opponents by a combined score, roughly 15 points on average. They beat their opponents by 15 points or more. That's how dominant the Lady Aces are. And I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting any worse. I think the New York Liberty are in trouble, man. I just think, any other year, New York Liberty probably wins it all. They just happen to run into one of the best assembled teams in the WNBA, probably WNBA history. If they win again, and they're probably going. Remember, we called at the beginning of the season. You guys heard it here. I said they're going to repeat. They're just stacked. There's no reason why they shouldn't repeat. They're absolutely stacked. But they're 6-0 in the playoffs. We've talked about that. Game 2 is on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't see anything. I don't see a different outcome. They're dominant in Vegas. They rarely lose in Vegas. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that, the coach, Becky Hammon, has been involved with the Spurs in the past, by the way. That Becky Hammon. Um, and it's something I was reading an article just earlier today, actually. Um, an article from Michael Vopel, ESPN.com, was talking about how basically Becky Hammon has been using tapes from the 2014 San Antonio Spurs because that year they were dominant. That year they were trying to repeat with Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, all that jazz. And at that time, I think of that team, if you think about it, Tim Duncan, I think Kawhi Leonard was the starting small forward that year. Yet you still had Manu Ginobili. I mean, legendary team. But this Lady Aces team is drawing comparisons to that legendary team because they were so dominant in 2014. I I'll say it like this: all the girls are in their prime. Like it's the perfect storm. Could they win a third? I know I'm looking past the Liberty right now and saying they're going to win a second because I believe that. We said that at the beginning of the season. Can they win a third? They seem healthy. They don't seem to be in trouble. They don't seem to be hurting. Aja Wilson's balling out. Kelsey Plume killing it. Can they continue to do what they're doing? I think Becky Hammon is the right lady for the job. I think she's done a great job rallying the troops and getting it going, especially after, it's a distraction. Anytime you win a title, there's a distraction. You have a target in your back. You hear it all the time in documentaries. When you win a championship, you have a target on your back. Everybody wants to dethrone you. And that hasn't phased the Lady Aces once. And maybe the WNBA is down. I don't necessarily think so. Maybe they're down. Maybe it's down. Maybe teams just aren't caught up yet. Maybe the parity isn't the same as it is in other leagues. But you got to enjoy it while you can, Vegas. Because you're about to have not only, let's see here. You had a WNBA championship, an NHL championship, National Volleyball Association championship. The Raiders are failures, but we'll say they're adopted. You're probably going to get an MLB team here in the near future. Maybe an NBA team because that talks there have started already because we've said it for years, man. It is the fastest growing sports market in America. Vegas is. Yes, it doesn't have all the major television rights like Los Angeles and New York do. Texas does. But it's not going to be very long before it happens. It's too popular. And the Lady Aces and Mark Davis, the owner, at least he's, the owner of at least one winning team. They're doing an excellent job. And I don't foresee them slowing down. I don't see them losing to the Liberty tomorrow night. I think they go up 2-0 in the series. They may drop one in New York when they have to travel to New York for those two games, but I don't see it happening. I don't. I don't see it happening. I think the Lady Aces are just that dominant, and there's just no way to stop them. No way to stop them. You're good with that. It's okay. Sometimes you just run into those teams. The Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. Yes, I understand that's NBA versus WNBA, but still, that's how dominant this team is. Right now they're unbeatable. And when you go 6-0 in the playoffs and 34-6 in the regular season, what do you say? It's nuts. They haven't had it's been straight sweeps in the first 2 rounds, and right now it's looking like it could continue in the finals, which is nuts because that's supposed to be your best competition. Yeah, Lady Aces are killing it. We'll keep you guys updated on the Twitter. Make sure you guys go to the SinCity_IESR where you can see all the score updates because we will keep you updated tomorrow. We're going to go to a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the Golden Knights who dropped the puck tonight in Vegas. Should be a fun ride. Would love to see, and I'm hoping I get some highlights. I'm hoping I get some video because you guys will also see that on the Sin City Sports Twitter at SinCity_IESR. I can't tell you how many more times I'm going to say that tonight, but we're going to try and post the reveal of the banner because they have to be dropping a banner tonight at home with the puck drop. That's going to be awesome. When we get back, we'll discuss the Golden Knights, the way their roster looks. Could they repeat? Who's a sneaky good signing? Here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Callum Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back from quick break. This is the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. Get at us on our Twitter forums at Sin City _IE Sports Radio, IESR. At Cale _Henderson is my Twitter forum, my personal Twitter forum. Get at us at this. Listen back to our show. Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Pods, all the major forums you guys can listen to the show. Boost our stats, make us look better. And with that said, you want to talk about something that makes us look better? Let's talk about our sponsor, Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion, Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, low in sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on, and for a limited time, you can win 4 tickets to see the Storm or 4 bags of jerky. All you have to do is visit planetjerky.net, place your order, follow Planet Jerky, and DM them that you bought your jerky from hearing this ad. Once again, huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Special thanks to the platform IE Sports Radio. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for sports news, IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast on the network, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the store and check out the latest merch. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, I'm your host, Cale Henderson. We're back at it. All things Vegas sports. We just touched base on the Lady Aces who, well, tip-off is tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the Michelob Ultra Arena against the New York Liberty, where they look to go up 2-0 in the WNBA Finals. Defending champs. We all know how this is going to go. We've called it. We've called it all year. We've stood by it. We're not backing down now unless something miraculous happens for the Liberty to beat a Lady Aces team that's beaten everybody by an average of 14 points or more. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I think we're going to have repeat champs. Gotta love it. Big support. Keep an eye on the Twitter channel. Again, SinCity_ISR, where I will keep you up to score updates. Talking about another Vegas team, another championship Vegas team. What a great segue. The Vegas Golden Knights drop the puck tonight. Puck drop is tonight. They will unveil the new banner, the championship banner. You'll probably get to see Lord Stanley one last time before the league takes it back over and everybody's fighting for it for another grueling 82-game season. Really excited. Listen, I know I'm a Vegas sports person, but I can tell you right now, I think Adam knows what I'm talking about when I say this, I think that the Vegas Golden Knights are primed to repeat. I think you have yeah, he said Lord Stanley is in the house. Adam Karnick, perfect time. By the way, Adam Karnick is the host of the Neutral Zone, a show I used to be the host of, but he obviously does it way better, and he's got a much better drop for his show than I have. Adam's a big hockey nut. He and his co-host, they do a great job talking about all things sports, and I'm sure all things hockey, and I'm sure they're talking about Lord Stanley and his trip to Vegas tonight. Listen, chime in if you want, Adam. You're in the comments. I know you can kind of attest to this. This is a team that's primed to repeat, in my opinion. The rings are nuts. They look amazing. Fantastic. But only in Vegas would you go that big. You know what I'm saying? Like NFL style championship rings. It's awesome. But I think this team is primed to win. I think you have a young goalie that was played lights out. Dude stood on his head, so you guys get what I mean. Like the guy basically head stood and blocked everything that was shot his way. He was a huge reason why the Vegas Golden Knights were able to make a run in the playoffs. It was absolutely it was phenomenal. You had the veteran presence of the guys of Mark Stone, Marchessault. He said my co-host Zach picked Vegas to repeat. It's kind of hard not to, dude. It's going to be hard to beat them. We talked about this last year, and I told you this, and I think you thought I was a bit crazy, but I told you, other than the salary cap issues, if they stay healthy, I didn't think there was a team that could beat them. One of the most amazing stats from last year's Stanley Cup championship team is they scored the second most goals in the league last year, on average. I think it was 4 a game, right? They averaged the second most goals per game, which was 4. Not a single player on that Golden Knights team eclipsed 100 points in the season. They didn't have a scoring leader or contender. They played true team hockey, and I don't know if that's been talked about enough by hockey personnel. Your team scored 4 goals a game. None of your guys led the league in scoring. None of your guys were a contender for a leader in scoring and points in the league. No. I don't think a single player eclipsed 65 points last year. You just had a group of dudes show up on a nightly basis, and that's team hockey. And I don't know if we've seen a team like that in the NHL in years, because normally you have those top-heavy guys. Normally you have those guys that really just put the puck in the back of the net. You have those guys that really keep the puck out of the back of the net, the goalies, which is probably got to be one of the hardest. By the way, if the quarterback is the hardest position in sports, an NHL goalie has to be up there. It's got to be second or third, right? Can you guys name a position, you listeners out there, can you guys name a position other than quarterback is undisputed, it's the hardest, you got to do the most. There's no joke. Pre-snap, post-snap, if you lose, it's on you, because apparently winning is a quarterback stat in today's media, big media. So quarterback aside, because that's the number one, it's undisputed. There's no way you can beat that. What is the hardest position in sports? I have a hard time believing that you can tell me otherwise, that an NHL goalie or a hockey goalie doesn't have one of the hardest jobs in sports. Like top three, at least. I would almost say second. I can't really think of anything that is trickier, requires more skill. You're kind of on an island sometimes too, man. Even though you have defenders helping you keep pucks out of the goal, you're kind of on an island. So yeah, convince me otherwise. You guys in the chat. You listeners out there, message me. Let's have a debate. Go to our Twitter forum, SinCity_ISR. Tweet me. I think this position is the hardest in sports. I'll have no problem with telling you you're wrong. I'm just kidding. I want that debate, though. Hockey goalie has to be top three. And they make these goalies different than they used to be. Like, these goalies are like 6'4" now. Like, these guys are nuts. They look massive. If your goalie gets hot, your team is almost impossible to beat. 100%. That's any team, right? Can we agree on that? That's any team. Like, there were spurts where, like, Marc-Andre Fleury, when he played for the Penguins, or even when he played for Vegas, there were spurts where he was downright awful. But because of his experience, he'd get to the playoffs, whether he was a Penguin or a Golden Knight, and all of a sudden Marc-Andre Fleury is just, again, standing on his head. He's not allowing goals. That's what led them to their two finals appearances in 6 years under Fleury. Made their third one last year, won it. I mean, I'll say it like this: if you're a new franchise in any sport, if you could tell people that you won your first title in 6 years, I think you'll be pretty happy with that. But Golden Knights, man, they're dropping the puck tonight. It's exciting stuff. They play great hockey. It's a lot of fun. Ultimate team hockey. Mark Stone's back. Jonathan Marchessault's back. Jack Eichel, who had an unbelievable season last year. Adin Hill got his extension. You still have the likes of William Karlsson, who was one of the originals from the expansion team, by the way. Here's one that Alex Pietrangelo, he's going to be an excellent depth piece. Shea Theodore, still kicking ass, taking names. Here's a name that I want people to watch for. And I find it nuts that he was available. Maybe it's because of injury. Maybe he just didn't enjoy his time with the Anaheim Ducks. Who would the last few years? I say this as a Ducks fan. I haven't enjoyed that team for the last few years. They haven't been good since the Corey Perry Getzlaf days. It's been kind of frustrating. But Max Comtois, what a sneaky good signing by the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, they signed him to a professional tryout agreement. He's 24 years old. He was drafted in 2017, so he's really young. He's coming up on his 6th year in the NHL. 6th year in the NHL. He's played 210 games, 86 points, which isn't bad. He led the team in scoring for the Ducks in 2020, 2021. And that team was horrible. Now you put him on a team, and I think it's the Jack Eichel effect. Or just, going to a better organization effect. Like we saw it with Jack Eichel. He was up and down in Buffalo, inconsistent. There was frustrations. That's why Buffalo was willing to trade him. He comes to Vegas, and he hasn't turned back. He comes to Vegas, and he's one of the better players in hockey now. You could see the same thing with Comtois. Comtois got a ton of potential, man. The guy finds the back of the net really well. So they picked him up for basically pennies on the dollar. You have a team. You basically returned all of your major guys. You have a team that is absolutely going to look. The Pacific Division is not going to be easy. The Kings are a really good hockey team. I just don't know if anybody can truly compete with the Vegas Golden Knights if they stay healthy. They have too much firepower. The way they play hockey, team hockey, it's just different. I'm totally in your corner there, or Zach's corner, Adam. I think Vegas does repeat. And I'm not just saying that because this is a Vegas sports show. They were dominant last year, man. They were healthy all last year. They did a great job of scoring. They did a great job with consistency. They obviously developed a goalie that was struggling elsewhere, but now is doing really well, or playing really well. All things are pointing to maybe a possible repeat, but hockey is one of those. It's like, dude, it's almost impossible to predict it. Like those years that Tampa Bay won it, that roster with Stamkos and Kucherov and those guys is unbelievable. So I can understand why folks kind of picked them to repeat, but I don't think this Vegas team is like that. They're really, really good. Selfless, great team hockey. I just don't know if they're that good. But I have no problem saying there's a really good chance they repeat, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say they will. I'm just gonna say they will. I think they have a great chance to do it. They have their main guys back. Still a lot of scoring on this team. You have a young goalie. You just added scoring on this team. A former team leader in scoring a couple years ago. He's probably just needed to find a place to kind of flourish again. And one of the things I love about hockey is it feels like these guys play into their 30s, no problem. As physical as the sport is, it feels like these guys really do a great job of taking care of their body. So really excited for the season. Puck's already dropped. We'll give you guys updates as the show goes on. But real excited for what's going on. Actually, they changed the puck drop time to 7:30 Pacific Standard Time or 9:30 9:30 Central. So it should drop any minute now. I think they extended that time because they were doing the unveiling and Lord Stanley's in the house and they got to show off the rings and present an award to that Stanley Cup championship team before they go in and play a really tough game against the Seattle Kraken. By the way, props to the Seattle Kraken because that playoff game last year where they rallied, that place went nuts. It was one of the coolest atmospheres I've seen in a long time. Really excited about the trajectory of their program. Really excited about the trajectory of what they're doing at their franchise because they're not going to lay down. They're extremely talented, and the Vegas Golden Knights aren't just going to sweep these guys or it's not going to be walkthroughs with these guys. They're going to be tough. They're very talented. And the new expansion rules have everything to do with that. Huge difference in quality. We're going to go to a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk Vegas Raiders. Vegas Raiders. Because it's Victory Tuesday. Listen, guys, there's going to be some negativity, but I'm going to give them their flowers. A win's a win, right? I'm not trying to quote Josh McDaniels. I'm just saying all you have to do to win is beat the other team by a point. Score one more point than they did. That's the whole goal of football. Football isn't easy. But when we get back, we're going to analyze the Raiders' win, where they're at on the season so far, how can they get better, here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS. Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back from that final break here in the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_IESR, at Cale_Henderson, which is my personal. Listen to our show back on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker app. The first two are epic. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, they do a great job. I had a buddy that told me the other day he's so happy that we're on Spotify now, because it makes it really easy to listen to the shows and get back to it. Gotta love him. Shout out to Max, man. He's been a longtime friend and a big time supporter of anything I do in life, but especially this show. Even though it's freelancing, even though it's on the side, we'd love this thing to get big. So the more you can follow, share the podcast, the better, because it might be great for some other people. And I think we do a great job for what we have with the quality. I think we do a great job on this show. So, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I just think we got a lot of support. We got people who care, and we're talking about a market that is on the rise, man. It's the fastest growing sports market. And what's not to be excited about that? Puck drop tonight at Golden Knights, T-Mobile Arena. Should be fun to watch. I'm definitely going to turn that on here in a short second or a short while. Definitely want to see what they decide to do with their return to the NHL regular season. Should be a ton of fun to watch. It's actually on ESPN right now if you guys want to watch it. Should be plenty of fun. And Lady Aces killing it. We talked about them a few times. They are 6-0 in this year's WNBA playoffs. They're 1-0 in the WNBA finals as of right now, looking to go 2-0 tomorrow night. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Central. That will be on ESPN. They will be getting the coverage they deserve over there because they're playing great basketball, total team basketball. Your stars are lighting it up, and it's another night in Vegas where I think they're just on a heater, man. Pun intended, they're on a heater. Gotta love it. On to the, talking about a heater, not really. They're on a one-game win streak. The Las Vegas Raiders beat the Green Bay Packers. The Aaron Rodgers-less, and I think that's going to get some focus here. That's probably going to get more focus than the Raiders winning. The Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers, 17-13 on Monday night at Allegiant Stadium. And the takeaways from the defeat, right? And this is coming straight from an article. Mike Spotford, writer basically for the Green Bay article, NHL.com. He's basically saying the Packers had their chances to win. They just couldn't do it. Raiders turned around the turnover stat. So, yeah, one of the rare sightings we saw just yesterday was the Raiders' defense played really well. I get it. The Packers' offense just isn't the same. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be a rough year. They'll probably get better as the year goes on. But the reality is the Raiders' defense looked really good. And they've been, like, they're one of the worst, as far as talent's concerned, they're one of the worst teams, one of the worst defenses in the league. And I just, what's that tell you? And I said this at the beginning of the show. How bad do you have to be? If you're Denver and Green Bay, you have to sell the farm, right? Like, do the best you can to get to amass some first-round picks, especially Green Bay after the whole Aaron Rodgers injury. Like, they had an unconditional, I think it was a conditional first-round pick if he played 60% of the snaps. He plays 4 snaps on the season. Like, how much bad luck do you have to have? I don't know. Jordan Love's just not getting it done. And when you lose to the Raiders, you as a team have to think, damn. Because the Raiders are not a very talented roster. They're deficient in talent. And honestly, I think their coaching staff is one of the worst in the league right now. It seems as though every game they're getting out-coached in one way or another. But they won 17-13. You'll take it. They had 3 interceptions. That's huge. You can't replace that. I don't think the Raiders have had a 3 interception week in almost a decade. So I think we're seeing improvement, by the way, on this Raiders team. Here's the reality. The Raiders haven't scored more than 18 points this season. Seriously, they haven't scored more than 18 points once this season. Your defense on multiple occasions out of the 5 games, your defense has held teams to 17 points or less. I want to say like in 3 games. The Raiders just aren't scoring enough for it to matter. Yes, the Buffalo Bills is one thing. Like, look what they did to the Dolphins. The Bills are just stacked. They're one of the best. They're one of the best constructed rosters in the NFL. So that was a tough game. But everything else has been close. And you got to like that. You got to like that a lot. What I don't like is they can't score more than 17 points. And that sucks because you have a 6-time Super Bowl champ at offensive coordinator. Your head coach who called plays for New England. That same offense that used to mollywop people. And now I'm going to say this, and I hate to say it because I'm a Raiders fan, right? I grew up a Raiders fan. Tuck rule. F Tom Brady. F Bill Belichick. But at this point, seeing Bill Belichick struggle, watching Josh McDaniels struggle, Brady had an effect that we just don't understand, guys. Unless you're one of those players probably playing with Patrick Mahomes, you just don't understand the it factor until you see it, until you witness it. I think even though Tom Brady, I mean, he'll go down as the greatest quarterback ever, we took him for granted. Because look at what he did for the New England Patriots for years. Look at what he did for the Tampa Bay Bucks in a short amount of time. Like, he made Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, like, listen, Bill Belichick's still the greatest coach to ever walk the sideline. You can't convince me otherwise. The things he's done in this game, the number of titles he's won, he's incredible. He's an incredible coach. But 6 of those titles he wouldn't have won if he didn't have 12. And ever since 12 left, Patriots have struggled. Ever since 12 left the Patriots or retired, Josh McDaniels isn't worth a crap. There's just something to be said, and I hate to say it because this is a Raiders show. Tom Brady was the dude, man. You got two greats struggling tremendously to get output from their teams. They don't have 12. 12 must have been that. He must have been that dude the whole time. We took it for granted because it's going to be hard to find a quarterback that makes that big of a difference again. I know Pat is one of them dudes, but you guys get what I mean. Pat's only won 2 Super Bowls. I say only, but he could easily win 6 in the next 10 years with the way they've been playing. Not easy, but he could easily do it. Not easy, but it's possible. That's what we should say. Not easy, but it's possible. But yeah, a lot of respect to Tom Brady. I have to say it. Because Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels are struggling. The offense is anemic. They can't seem to get things going. The good news is the Raiders are about to play a Patriots team that just came off of their worst loss probably ever in the Belichick era to the Saints, 34-0. If there's a time to get at this get things right, it's the next 2 weeks because you have the Patriots who are 1-4, you have the Bears who are 1-4. If you're going to get right, you need to do it now. And I've been saying this to the guys on the Twitter forums, right, who are all about Caleb Williams. He's not going to be a Raider. Unless the Raiders trade up for him, it's not happening. Because Josh McDaniels, that guy is going to win 3 more games probably. Like, you're going to see at least 5 wins. I think 6 or 7 is possible. It's realistic. It is. When you look at the schedule, 6 or 7 is realistic. But reality is, Raiders are going to Raiders. So I'm thinking they get to 5 total. 5 or 6 total in this season. Regardless, it's not an improvement. And right now, offensively, they're struggling crazy big. So much so that when you see your owner on the sideline, Captain Mr. Bullcut, the dude's calling our head coach an asshole. That's not confirmed. I would just like to think that because he's kind of worthless. But it was after a field goal was kicked, and the Raiders just couldn't punch it in. Here's a stat for you, which is crazy. They haven't scored in the second or third quarter all year. 5 games. They haven't scored once in the second or third quarter. Touchdown, I should say. Touchdown in the second or third quarter this year. Jimmy G leads the league in interceptions. You know, that guy that was the answer? The guy that knows McDaniels' system? The guy that was handpicked by McDaniels to come back and save his job? Because Derek Carr was the problem, remember? New Orleans doesn't feel that way. And that guy in New Orleans isn't leading the league in interceptions right now. Just saying. Jimmy G, here's what, let's just go right into it. This is what the Raiders need to do to win games. They need to feed Davante Adams. They need to have a healthy dose of Hunter Renfrow. Michael Mayer, who looked great in last week's game, by the way, yesterday's game. I think they finally started throwing to a tight end. I think they had 3 attempts through 3 games at one point to tight ends. Now it seems like they're trying to feed them a bit more, and some of that I give credit to Jimmy G. It sounds like he's trying to push that to those guys. Michael Mayer's a stud. I don't think people realize. Coming out of Notre Dame, the dude had a 4.7 40. Yeah, it's not impressive, but the guy he runs excellent routes. He finds ways to create separation. And one of the things that nobody talks about is he was like Notre Dame's all-time leading tight end. And that we're talking about a long history. The dude was double covered every play because he had nobody around him at Notre Dame. Right? Like, it's really impressive what he was able to do. Now you have Davante Adams, you have Jacoby Myers, who's actually playing really well. Jacoby Myers he's been a nice surprise. I think that the Raiders, if they want to win more games, have to do a better job of distributing the ball to Hunter Renfrow and Michael Mayer. 5 each. 5 receptions each, and I think we'll start seeing more wins pile up. Because those 2 dudes can make a difference. They will make a difference if you feed them. That's why you drafted him. That's why you paid him. Right now, Hunter Renfrow I think he has 3 receptions on the season. You're paying him like $16 million this year. That's pretty sad. And that's on Josh McDaniels at the end of the day, man. All of this offensive BS, all the drama, it's on him. And you have your star receiver still, you win, and your star receiver still saying, listen, we won, I'm happy we won, but you still got to feed me the damn ball. I'm the star. That isn't New England style. But Devontae Adams kind of transcends what New England used to do. If Devontae Adams would have been on New England some of those years that Brady was there, they probably would have won a few more championships. Because Brady never had a dude like that, except for Randy Moss. Just saying. Lot to like, man, coming up though. Like if you want to get right, if you want to get back to winning form, because the Raiders are 2-3. They play the Bears. They play the Patriots this week at home. They play the Bears in Chicago, I think it is. And I totally agree, Adam. Raiders Bears in a couple of weeks could be a doozy. Yeah, you're right. Yep. It could be a low-scoring affair because the Raiders can't seem to score. And if there was a team that would lose to the Bears, it would be the Raiders. They'd be one, just because of how inconsistent they are, unfortunately. And I hate to say that about my team, guys. I love my team, but I'm being real with you. They're not well constructed. They look bad right now. I think Ziegler deserves a year or two more. Don't get me wrong, to build a team. I don't know if Josh McDaniels deserves a year or two more. This looks bad. And do we, with what we've seen with Derek Carr and Jimmy G, this like one season in 5 games, like both quarterbacks have massively regressed statistically because they used to be the least turnover prone guys throwing the ball. Josh McDaniels gets a hold of them. They're both on pace. So Derek Carr had a career high in interceptions. Right now, Jimmy G's on pace to have a career high and league high in interceptions. Right now, it seems like it's Josh McDaniels that's the issue. Like every once in a while, you look at players, you're like, hey, are they executing the way the coaches are asking them to? Probably not. But in this case, listen, man, I don't know if it's simple enough. I really don't. You have too much star power. You have Devontae Adams. I like Jacoby Myers. Josh Jacobs is an all-world running back. He's just not getting a lot of help. He's finally – I see that he's getting more yards now. Some of that helps that Jacob Johnson's back, the fullback. He knows McDaniel's system and the way that they run, that gap power. So you're seeing more yards because he's available and they're not afraid to go downhill with the fullback. One of the few teams in the league. You have stars. You have players on this team. Max Crosby on the other side. Dude's a problem for the league. He's an absolute problem. He's a nightmare. So what are they going to do? You have to be more efficient on offense. You have to stay ahead of the sticks. The penalties have to stop. That's a disciplinary issue. Again, coaching problem. If your team is not disciplined, it's a coaching problem. They have to do a better job of converting in the red zone. Again, Derek Carr's gone. You can't point the finger at him anymore. The Raiders are bad in the red zone. They have a great kicker who actually missed 2 kicks the other night. Sad, but true. They have to be more efficient on offense. I think defensively they're playing better. They're getting better. I think Patrick Graham's doing a great job. He's got, again, one of the least talented defensive rosters in the league. And he's actually doing a really good job keeping teams at bay. The offense just isn't showing up the way that people expected. I'm not going to stop saying this. Josh McDaniels got the guy he wanted. He got Jimmy G. You ousted a 9-year veteran who has a history of making strides in his second year in an offense because he had 6 different coordinators in his 9 years. So we've seen that. When he goes to a second year, you see a massive difference in the way Derek Carr plays. The Raiders decided they didn't want to deal with it. And they didn't even get any value out of him. Well, look, the Saints are benefiting. The only reason why the Saints aren't 4-1 right now is because Derek Carr got hurt. And Jameis Winston couldn't score once or get a field goal kicked and made with 6 possessions left or whatever in the game against the Packers. Derek Carr's winning. We don't have excuses anymore. And I hate to say this because I'm not here to badmouth. I don't want Derek Carr to be in my mentions on Twitter, but when Raiders fans get sour about the team, they still bring him up for some reason instead of holding the people who are currently on the roster accountable. That's the reality. So hopefully the Raiders win. I do predict them winning against the Patriots. I do think that they beat the Bears. There's a possibility they're 4-3 going into what looks to be a pretty tough stretch midway through the season. Should be interesting to watch. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. As always, it's the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. As always, folks, tune in every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love, peace, and hair grease.